Hello everyone, it is me, Bubbly, and in case you haven't noticed, or as I'm sure you have by the name of this video and everything going on, Valve is releasing the Gunmetal update today. Or if you're looking from the future, they released it today. Yay! Update for TF2. Basically, this is the biggest game-changing update we've seen since before Love and War, for sure. So basically, it's the biggest update since before I even got here. So that's just great. But yeah, this is kind of Valve's, I feel like it's their, hey, we still care about TF2, we want to, like, really change things, we've been listening to you guys, here's some cool stuff. And it is cool stuff, alright? This is a good thing, alright? I think this is kind of Valve's last attempt to prove that TF2 isn't dying, that they still care about it. And will this make TF2 last another 7 years, another 2 years? I don't know, we will see. But I think it's going to bring a lot of people back to the game, at least for today. At least for a month, you know, so it'll be good for the community, and that's a good thing. So the main whole, like, story behind this update, I kind of browsed through the comic, is that there are, like, contract killings, and they're getting, like, custom weapons for it, and yeah, blah, 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 blah. So, going along with that, the main theme of the whole update is contracts. And how that works, how the system works, is that you will pay a one-time fee of $6, and then for the next 3 months, you will be entered into the thing of the update. This is kind of scarily similar to the Duck update, except there's like actual stuff in it. You'll be entered in, and every week, refreshing every week, you will get a contract with a main objective and a side objective. The side objective is just for points to like level up your coins, just like leveling up the Duck, whatever. But the cool thing is the contract. So every week, new contract. It's basically like completing an achievement, but you actually get something at the end. Like it's gonna be achievement-like tasks, like kill 5 soldiers while they're airborne, something like that, yeah, you know. And so they're described as skill-based challenges, yeah, that. And so once you complete them, at the end of the week, or whenever you complete them, not sure when, you have the choice to pick either just a plain weapon or a crate of weapons. And the plain weapons are gonna, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, I have to really quickly say, you get to pick weapons from the new sets of weapon skins that they're adding, which are the 2-Fort, the Craftsman, the Concealed Killer, and the Powerhouse sets. And basically, these are all just sets of weapons, weapon skins that have different themes, like 2-Fort is animal, Craftsman is plaid, Concealed Killer camo, then Powerhouse is like electrical cool stuff, like, yeah. And so basically, at the end of each week, you have the option to choose either just like a direct weapon skin from, you just like pick it just for free, and that is the, gonna be from the 2-Fort or the Craftsman sets. Like, guaranteed. And if you pick the crate, then you will get the chance to open one, and it's guaranteed to be from the Concealed Killer and Powerhouse one. And there's a lot of, like, weird ranking stuff with these weapons, where there's, like, varying rarity on durability and, like, the actual style of the weapon, and they're making unusual weapons now. That's kind of cool. Something we've wanted for a while. And also some of them can be strange. There's, like, 6 varying levels of durability. Or they're like doing rarity based off durability for the most part. And like if you open one of the ones that is like you don't have to buy a key for it, because I'm assuming you're gonna have to buy a key for these crates. Hopefully it won't be the full price of a normal key, but you still have to open them. If you go with just like one of the stock pick one from the first 2 sets, it'll have like rarity grades 1 through 4, but then if you open a crate, it'll be rarity grade 3 through 6. So there's like whatever. I don't know how important that's gonna be. But you can get, the only way to get the unusuals and the stranges is from opening the crate. And so that's basically how the sets of weapon skins work. No effect on the game, but you can pick up dead people's weapons and use them for that life, a lot similar to Counter-Strike. And you can like inspect your weapon too. There's some, you know, cool stuff with that. And they are tradable and everything. And they are also one of a kind, which is the cool thing Valve is doing, where all the patterns on them are randomly generated, so no 2 of them are exactly the same. It's like snowflakes. It's like spindas, you know, it's like, whatever. Kind of cool, just so that it's not, you know, a bunch of the same skin weapon. So that's something pretty cool. That's the contract side of it. Get a chance to win some cool weapon skins. They've all got it. I'll link to the website and the video, so that's pretty cool. The second part of the update is they're adding some new maps, one themed Borneo, one themed Japan, which looks really pretty, and they're finally adding Snowplow to the game. Yay, James McVinney, you have not been disgraced, and apparently we've gotten more intelligence. They actually added it to the game as a standard CP map. They're adding, you know, new taunts as usual. I'm ready for the box trot. You get to be in a box. I want it. And, you know, they're adding, like, Valve's own personal map, Powerhouse, which is, like, the, you know, theme of the update, whatever, and it's achievements for that, yeah. But now we get to the good part of the update, which is balance changes. And this is where things get pretty radical. So the biggest hunk of this update is just weapon balances and a few bug fixes, but for the most part, they are changing a lot of weapons, and a lot of them for the better. So they are really trying to make, you know, unused weapons usable. I mean, some of them, obviously, they've skipped over. There's some upsetting ones, but I'm gonna go ahead and cover all that and what each little individual thing means for the game. So, overall game changes. There's the new weapon exchange and pickup, so, you know, you just can pick up dead people's weapons and use it until you die. That's basically how it works. Just something kind of cool, so you can, you know, if you're like a free-to-play and you see someone who's pay to win and they have just like all these cool weapons, you can just pick them up and use them yourself. You can no longer pick up people's weapons as ammo. Everyone is going to drop small ammo packs upon death now. Which makes more sense because, I mean, before you were like shoving a shotgun into your watch and it would make you be invisible for long. I mean, it makes more sense, alright? Kind of disappointing to not be able to, like, pick up guns for ammo, but you can pick up guns for guns now. So that's kind of cool. As long as you can use it. You have to be the same class. That's a good point. They're changing a couple things, so random damage spread is off by default. I think that's good. Auto reload is on by default. I mean, just kind of like simple little things if you're a server maker, basically, is what's important. And they updated various weapon descriptions to, yeah, we'll go over that in a second. And so now going through all the classes, we've got the Spy. A lot of changes for the Spy. So they fixed a lot of animation stuff. Like, he's not going to hit himself in the face, he's not going to block the crosshair with his guns anymore, which was a pretty big issue. I don't know if they'll fix the Spy can have 3 hands thing, I have no idea. But, other things they're changing. They're changing that if you're already disguised, switching to another disguise is going to take less time. So this, I mean, it doesn't seem that consequential, but for really good spies and for people who like to act while they play Spy and not just, like, surprise people, this is pretty cool. Alright, it's a little minor thing, but that, like, a quarter of the time it took previously is now gone, or it takes a quarter of the time it took previously, so that's pretty cool. In the disguise menu, pressing reload will toggle disguise team. So it's not like you have to reach all the way over to actually switch team now, because that was really a hassle. As a Spy player, a lot of the time that was a hassle, but they're fixing that. When invisible spies receive 20 less damage from all sources, and so if you notice that, when we get to the Dead Ringer, we'll talk about that, but that's pretty cool now. So, like, if you're invisible, you're not just gonna get, like, blown up randomly. Like, that's pretty big, because a Spy with, like, 120 health, if you're, like, slightly damaged, if you're down to, like, 90 health or something like that, and a soldier just kind of randomly shoots and it hits you, it's probably not just gonna accidentally one-hit kill you now, so that's actually pretty big. Spy has reduced timer on debuffs, fire, draughty, milk, and bleed when invisible. So I mean, that's kind of cool. They're mainly focusing on the invisibility aspect of it. And then another big thing they're doing is with the sappers, where it is going to actually destroy the sentry at half the rate as before. So basically what they want with this is for a Spy to not just sap a sentry and leave, but to, like, sap and then stick around to shoot it. It's a really... I don't know how it's going to affect the gameplay, but that is a very substantial change to sappers, so we'll see how that goes. Spy-cicle. Change fire immunity from 3 seconds to immune for 1 and 7 seconds of afterburn immunity. And quite frankly, I think this is a buff, because with the Spy-cicle, like, if you're getting chased by a pyro, and you have the Spy-cicle and you dead ring, right, or whatever, like, the pyro's not going to be on you for a solid 3 seconds. It's going to be like, you get hit by him, then you run back. And so, the fact that you have more time of afterburn, because usually the pyro's off your tail by then, the more afterburn immunity is really good, actually, for this weapon. And it makes it so that, like, if the pyro's still on you, it's fair enough for them, so it's not just, like, they have to wait a full 3 seconds, which is a lot of time in a really hectic game, where if you're, like, right by the enemy line, whatever, it's probably a good thing. It makes more sense, and it's not A lot of this is to make it, like, not more realistic, but just kind of, they're fixing a couple dumb things. And this is just, like, the stupidity of how long the Spy-cicle was. So, yeah. Afterward. Removed Silent Killer attribute. So, wasn't a huge deal because they're giant icicles anyway, but still removed it so you can see it in kill feed. And Spy-cicle recharge time can now be reduced by picking up ammo boxes. Huge buff. That's pretty cool. I don't know why they keep ice in the ammo boxes, but whatever. You can now recharge your cloak and your knife and your gun all from one thing. That's pretty cool. If you have a Spy-cicle. The Enforcer got a pretty big nerf. Changed undisguised damage to damage while disguised. So now with the Enforcer, you're not going to be able to get into a gunfight with someone, basically. It's going to be like, you want to be disguised, and then shoot them while you're disguised to get a jump on them, but then your gun drops off in damage. It just seems like using the Ambassador is better at this point. I mean, that's a huge buff. I mean, what the heck, nerf to the Enforcer, so yeah, we'll see. It's, kind of ruins the whole point of the Enforcer to be an aggressive spy. Big Earner added 3-second speed gain on kill. This is an interesting mechanic, the speed gain mechanic. They've added it to a couple things. This is the first one. People may actually use the Big Earner now, because depending on how much speed you have, like, I mean, as a spy, you cannot catch up to most classes other than a heavy and a soldier if you're just, like, running in a straight line. But you could get some pretty cool chain stats with this. We'll see. Kunai. Health penalty reduced from -65 to -55. So you now have enough health, basically, to survive most explosions in the game. It used to be, like, one decent mid-range explosion would kill you. This is, although it seems kind of insubstantial, 10 more health, it's enough. It makes somewhat of a difference. And then minimum health gain of 75 on a kill, maximum overheal increased to 210. But basically, what this means is they're just buffing the Kunai. These are just, like, straight buffs for the Kunai. I'm not sure what the original minimum health gain was on the Kunai. Or no, okay, I understand, alright. If you stab someone who has, like, 2 health, you're gonna get 75. Right, so it's not just, like, a dumb, weird, you know, because you used to get shafted if you were going on a chain stab and then someone wasn't pulling their weight by being damaged or whatever. So, big buff to the Kunai. It's gonna be pretty usable now, lots of overheal. Could be pretty cool. Cloak and Dagger can now pick up ammo kits while visible. That's just kind of a bug fix, really. And then the big one, the Dead Ringer. So, finally, I'm willing to say, after however long this thing has been in the game, after already a big nerf, and then now this, it's finally a fair weapon, I'm going to say. I love using it, I love the Dead Ringer, but it is overpowered sometimes, and these are some cool changes to it. Feigning Death instantly removes 50% of your cloak meter, that's just reasonable. And then they changed it to, like, it drains slower, but you need more of it to activate. So basically what this means is they don't want spies just, like, feigning death, getting a little metal, then feigning death instantly again to trick people. This is more of a, if you're gonna feign death, we're going in the direction of you're feigning death to get away, and it takes longer to recharge the Dead Ringer. So they're kind of trying to eliminate the unkillable spy of the Dead Ringer. That's basically what they're doing. They changed the cloak from plus 80% regen rate to 50%. So yeah, they're just doing everything they can to make it so you don't get the invincible spies that can feign every 3 seconds. That's the main thing they're going for. And when the feign death is triggered, you receive a speed boost. So yeah, they want you to get out of there, basically is what they're saying. They're trying to change the way the Dead Ringer works. Has its damage reduced by 50% when you feign death with an attack instead of 80, so that's a nerf. These are all nerfs to this weapon, by the way, pretty much. Damage resistance on trigger and feign death scales over time, so it's not like you're invincible for the whole time. I mean, you used to, like, literally be invincible, but now it's like they're making it even more and more, you know, like, you're not invincible while you're cloaked, basically. They made, while you're standard cloaked, they made you stronger, but this is making you, like, weaker. So they're basically just making the Invisible Watch stronger. 3 seconds after triggering feign death, they're... Oh yeah, 3 seconds after triggering your feign death, you are able to actually get bumped into now and burned and stuff like that. Well, I guess not burned, but, like, you'll actually, like, show up and shimmer, which is something big because the Dead Ringer didn't used to do that. And you can't pick up ammo for Cloak while cloaked. And that's actually big, because a lot of spies would just, you know, feign death, pick up, like, sentry ammo, uncloak, and then they would basically have their cloak back. So they're basically with this trying not just to make the Dead Ringer worse, or not to make the Dead Ringer worse, but to change the way it's used, basically. To make it not so aggressive, but much more, like, calculated and like the Invisible Watch, basically. That about covers it for the Spy. Engineer, you get construction boosts is now additive instead of multiplicative. Or like if you had 6 engineers on the dispenser, it'd be up instantly. Now it's gonna like still take time, just weird stuff. Increased base wrench construction speed on hit boost by 50%. So they're basically, I'm not entirely sure of how the math works out with how it was and how it is now, but they're just changing the way the buildings are actually built. Teleporters and dispensers are automatically going to be built faster now, which is really good because they used to be super slow and there was no reason for it. With a sentry, it still makes sense that it's going to be slow because you don't want to just like instantly get sentries up when you're fighting people. But this is a good thing, that it's not going to take forever to build buildings, is what they're going for. Building pickup speed penalty reduced from 25 to 10%, so now you're going to move like around the same speed as a soldier instead of slower than a heavy. That's useful. Buildings no longer self-destruct unless the building type is changed. So, you know, if you were like built a sentry and then you realize that you want to switch a weapon, like it used to be if you would just like change your loadout, your sentry would instantly destroy. That's not going to happen anymore, so that's a good thing. It's going to be much less annoying. Building repair costs increased from 20 to 33 metal to repair 100 HP per wrench hit. So they're making it more costly to repair the sentries, but they're making it easier to build them, if that kind of makes sense. And then they're just stronger against heavy miniguns. Why specifically heavy miniguns? I don't know, but they're strong against them. Incoming good news, they're nerfing the mini-sentry. That's a good thing. Not necessarily nerfing direct, but there's some like different ways to its use. A lot of these nerfs are like, they want the weapons to be used differently than they are, basically. So for the mini-sentry, it can now be repaired, so that's something. It can be built faster by hitting it now, but it builds slower normally. And they start at 50 health in construction, not 100, so if you catch a mini-sentry early as a soldier or demoman, you can actually kill it in one rocket. And that is huge. And metal gibs destroyed from the mini-sentry no longer grant any metal, basically meaning NGs can't have infinite mini-sentries. So what this is it's encouraging not the NG, like, drop a mini-sentry, keep running, someone's chasing you, they kill the other sentry, drop another one. They're making this weapon a lot less annoying. They're trying to make it so NGs will actually stick around their mini-sentries and actually care for them a little and not just use them in annoying places. Will this happen? I don't know. But the biggest thing here is the 50 health, because now it's not automatically 2 rockets. It's if you catch it early enough, it could be 1 rocket. And that's a big thing. Or pill, yeah. For the Pomson, they made it scale down as you're further away, so an NG can't just be across the map draining your cloak anymore. That's just kind of making it so the Pomson isn't dumb. It's a good thing. Wrangler. Ammo and repair given to a shielded sentry is reduced by the strength of the shield. It's just so you kind of can't have, like, a team of NGs, like, 1 guy wrangling, then, like, 3 hitting the sentry and just making it completely invincible. They're trying to fix that. And Engineered Death keeps the Wrangler, if he's holding the Wrangler, keeps the sentry in the bubble for a little while, for like 3 seconds, as if you were normally switching off the Wrangler. That's also good, just like fixing things that should have been there. The Jag, with the change to base construction boost, so like things are already quicker, Jag bonus has also been improved. So it's changed stats technically, but I think it's about the same speed increase that the Jag gives over the wrench. Just it's all relatively faster because they're changing the overall build speed. And then they also buffed it with plus 15% swing speed, which if you're an NG, like putting metal in a sentry, that's actually huge. Like that is really fast building, which is pretty cool. But they made it so it repairs less per hit, and 80 instead of 100. So, you know, it builds really quickly now, but it's hard to keep alive. Yeah. I would say it's an overall buff, but we'll see. Short Circuit. They made it so in order to like actually melt projectiles, it's the alt fire, so you right click, and now your left click is just zapping people. So basically, they're just trying to make it easier on people who just want to be mosquitoes in servers. So good for them. The Eureka Effect might actually be usable now. They've just removed everything from the Eureka Effect. They've wiped the slate clean in terms of penalties. The teleports are still there, but now your construction hit speed boost is decreased by 50%, and you get 50% less metal from pickups and dispensers. So it's no longer the 3 less metal per hit, which was huge and really annoying to deal with when trying to build a sentry. And you just get less metal from sources, basically, and you just build slower when constructed. So this weapon might actually be usable now, because it has a cool mechanic, and now the downsides to it are not like the most annoying thing in the world. So it could get used. We'll see. The Scout, Babyface's blaster, rest in peace. Not actually, my friend just wanted me to say that because he loved the Babyface's blaster, and it got nerfed. Boost reduction on taking damage, a lot like what happened to the Tide Turner, which it in the last update, which is it's kind of sad, you know. And they also increased the amount of boost loss on air jump. So as a scout, it's going to be impossible to keep your boost up forever now. So if you're fighting a Babyface blaster scout, this is good because they'll slow down as you damage them more. And yeah, it's a pretty big nerf. For the shortstop, no longer uses secondary ammo and now actually uses primary ammo, which I never really found an issue with that, but that's a thing. And then the passives to healing bonuses that it got are only active when it is active, right? So it's not just, you don't get the extra healing if you're holding your melee while you have the shortstop. You have to actually hold the shortstop. So just kind of making it make more sense, basically. Not a nerf, not a buff, just it's more logical now. The Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol. This thing actually got upgraded quite a bit. Passive effects are only active when the weapon is deployed. It's completely reasonable. They got rid of the plus 15%, or of the plus 15 max health, so you no longer get that health boost, but they added a leech feature where you get up to 3 health per hit. And I think this is actually much better than the plus 15 max health. And if they're changing it so that you only get the bonuses while it's active anyway, then the max health doesn't matter. And the fact that this thing is now basically Mad Milk in gun form is kind of cool. It could work. We'll have. I really want to try it out to see if it works. This is kind of a new mechanic for just a straight gun in the game. That is pretty cool. And they changed damage vulnerability from plus 15%, plus 50% fire to plus 20% all sources while active. That's also a good thing. So if you don't have it out, you're not going to get destroyed by a pyro or anything instantly. So that's good. That's very solid. Could be a really good weapon. Fan of War now crits whenever it would normally mini crit. I'm a little unclear what this means. I'm not sure if it means like when. Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. Basically what this means is if you hit someone with the Fan of War and they have the mini crit thing, you can keep hitting them and it will do crits on them. So they've also removed the damage penalty from 90% to 75%. So they're basically making it so the Fan of War can just smack the hell out of people. That's great. It's hilarious. Why not? People might actually use it now. That's pretty cool. So like, you're gonna see a lot of Fan of War scouts just pestering you with now crits. So enjoy that. Soldier, the airstrike got a major buff. You no longer start with 3 rockets. You start with 4. They made the explosion radius 5% bigger. They reduced the damage penalty by 10%, so the rockets only do 15% less than the standard rockets. And the rocket jump blast damage was reduced by 10%. And that is the biggest part of this, because it used to be really inefficient to use this weapon because you take so much damage from rocket jumps. But this is actually huge because they're making it so it is kind of feasible to use now and actually deals as much damage as you're taking. So this thing is going to be worth using. I would really check this one out. This is a good one to look at. Equalizer and Escape Plan changed no healing to be 90% less healing. And if you're thinking, oh my god, that's completely pointless, For all the noob soldiers out there running around with it who get angry at medics for not healing them, this then fixes that because now you're just an idiot for having the weapon out, but they can actually tell they're an idiot now. Yeah. And this is mainly biggest for building Uber in something like this could be used in competitive where, I don't know, you're on a rollout and you can just keep your escape plan out instead of like waiting and having to switch from the medic to heal you, so you can still move fast while getting heal, while getting Uber. It could be interesting, could be pretty big, could be not so big. I don't know, I think people still use the escape plan no matter what. Blackbox. Change plus 15 health on hit to plus 20 health per hit per attack. So it used to be you could hit a whole cluster of like 3 people and you'd get 45 health back, but now per rocket you can only get 20 health back, which is kind of a nerf, but it's kind of just making the weapon more balanced, I would say, and just making it not like unreasonable. And it changed how hit health. Yeah, basically this is all just talking about how we're gonna return health where you need to do like a certain amount of damage to get the 20 health, and that's as much as you're gonna get per hit. That's fine. We'll see. Liberty Launcher now has 5 rockets per clip. Maybe people will use it now. I don't know. We'll see. Battalion's backup. They just fixed a bug with that where rocket jumps were smaller while it was active. So good that they're fixing bugs. And yeah, just a small thing. Okay. We're getting there. Okay, DEMOMAN. Tide Turner. Self-damage will no longer increase or decrease charge while charging. Fall damage will no longer do it. And the charge taken away is now 1-to-1 instead of 3-to-1 per damage you're taking. So, after they nerfed the Tide Turner and that like secret update little thing they did, this is now rebuffing it. So we're not quite back to where it was right at the Loch-n-Load War update, but we're closer to it. And this thing is like actually usable again because you won't just get stopped by stray bullets now. You will continue moving. That's good. Bootlegger, Alibaba's Wee Booties. Added plus 10% movement speed, and you now just get charge on any melee kill and not just a charge kill. That is pretty big. The plus movement speed is easily the biggest thing here, and these weapons are probably going to be worth using with any shield if you're actually going to play Demo Knight, because that extra movement speed makes a big difference, especially for chasing people down. So definitely worth using. Plus it's a boot or booties. Why not? Claidheamh Mòr. Change 25 charge and 25 charge on any kill, or on charge kill to any melee kill. So just a general buff, yeah. And now for the saddest news of the entire update, the Loch-n-Load nerfed from 20% damage bonus to 20% damage bonus just against buildings. I don't know if anyone is ever going to use the Loch-n-Load again. We'll miss you, friend. I don't know why Valve has a vendetta against you. Rest in peace. I'm sorry. But on the lighter side of news, they buffed the Iron Bomber a bit, so you don't hurt yourself as much, and the pills make bigger explosions. So we'll see if that worked. It's still a strange weapon, so we'll see how it goes. Quickiebomb Launcher, damage now increased based on charge amount when the bomb is fired. This is a pretty cool change, so if you hold it down for longer, it'll do more damage once it actually is let off. And the issue with the Quickiebomb Launcher before was that it just didn't do a lot of damage, so this should hopefully fix that. We'll see. The Caber, either sadly or thank God, depending on how you look at it, now does not do a ludicrous amount of damage to person. They have reduced 25% of the base damage of it, and they made it ramp up less. So if there's a huge cluster of people now, chances are if you crit them, you're not going to kill all of them. So they basically just made this weapon less dumb, and you're not gonna insta-die anymore. And we'll see if you can actually one-hit kill most classes now. But very big change to the Caber, just making it less dumb, I guess. So we'll see how that is felt by the community. Now for the PYRO, it is the PYRO Secondary Spectacular with this update. With the Flaregun, they made it actually describe what it does. Whatever, it's just like a fix. For the Scorch Shot, they actually buffed this thing quite a bit. They made it do more damage, 15% more. Now has more knockback, which is like the whole reason people used it anyway was for the knockback, but it wasn't that much, so we'll see how much they actually added to it. I don't know if it's across the map, I don't know if it's a centimeter, but at least they added some. The blast radius is bigger to their hammer units. I'm not sure how much a hammer unit is, but it's bigger. And then the mini crits and explosions always mini crit burning targets. So they just made the Scorch Shot actually worth using, and it could actually be fun depending on how much knockback they added. That's cool. Detonator now works much more like a rocket launcher for Soldier. So they made it describe what it actually does in the text, and now you do more damage to yourself, but jump higher with a detonator jump. And so basically they're making this thing, they also made it do less damage. They're just trying to make this thing basically the rocket jumping pyro, right? So now you're going to be able to basically jump around the map with this thing. I doubt actually jump around the map, but we'll see how much they actually increased the jump propulsion. But it could be really fun. It's gonna be really fun to try out this weapon. I would recommend it. So for the medic, or the Vaccinator, this is a completely different weapon now. This is a 100% new weapon under the same name. They basically wrote an essay of updates on it. So they fixed a bug where it gave patients full crit immunity, whatever. The base resistance, if someone crits, it'll still do the full damage amount of crit. It won't take the reduction of whatever damage thing they're doing. And fixed a bug thing with exactly 1 bar of Uber, whatever. And now, the way the Vaccinator works is when you Uber people, it gives them a bubble, right? And that bubble is 75% damage resistance of the current resistance type and full crit resistance to that type. And they don't disappear if the medic stops targeting people. So basically what is going to happen is if you're a medic, you have the 4 Ubers of the Vaccinator. You got 4 people in front of you, you click one, Uber them, click the next guy, Uber him, Uber him, Uber him. And so those 4 people all separately have bubbles around them and each have 2.5 seconds of immunity. So it's now the bubble weapon. It is the bubbly weapon. This is like a weapon made for me. I've never used it yet. I guess it's time because it's calling to me. I see my name right there on it. So it's pretty cool. And they made it so like hello phone. They made it so if you're like just reacting to damage types, you don't get as much resistance. So yeah, however that works. But this is a completely new gun in terms of Uber, which is pretty cool. For some reason, next weapon, for some reason, they nerfed the Solomn Vow. They made it attack slower. So sorry. That happened. For the Sniper, the Sydney Sleeper will now always pee on people instead of just at a certain charge rate. And the duration of how long pee stays on them scales with how much you've charged. So it may actually be worth using the Sydney Sleeper now, and being on pubs is going to be much more annoying because you're going to be getting peed on constantly. So enjoy your stay. Bazaar Bargain got quite a buff. You no longer lose heads on miss. Collecting a head requires a headshot kill, not just a headshot. And then each head boosts charge rate by 25% up to 200. So they increased the ceiling of how much you can charge. My phone is going, I'm gonna throw you phone. I'm gonna throw you across the room. And it takes 2 headshot kills to be back at base speed and then 6 for the max. So they've basically made it so it's like a higher ceiling of headshot kills you need to get, but you don't need to get headshot, headshot, headshot. You can now miss between them. So that's pretty solid because it used to be, you had to be really good to make effect of the Bazaar Bargain. Standard snipers may have a better time with it. So that's pretty cool. Bushwacka changed penalty from 20% fire vulnerability to 20% damage vulnerability while active. So you're not going to get melted by a pyro anymore. You're just going to be more vulnerable when you're in a melee fight. Which, if you're in a melee fight, or if you're using the Bushwacka on a peed victim, probably not going to make a huge difference. That's a buff. That's solid. The Heavy got quite a few changes. Of course, it talks about the, he just does less damage to sentries with the minigun now. I don't know why. I never really saw Heavies destroying sentries that much, but it's a thing. Natasha got damage resistance while spun up. They added that to a couple of the Heavy's miniguns. So you take less damage while you're fully spun up. And the stun amount now has distance fall off, and thank God for this, because a Heavy used to be able to stand at the other corner of the map, and if one of their Natasha bullets hit you, you would get slowed down, which was completely dumb and unreasonable. So now that's not going to happen, and it's going to scale down. So that is a very welcome change. Glad for that. Brass Beast, you now get damage resistance while spun up. So yeah, you're you are now a tank with the Brass Beast, so that's pretty cool. Tomislav, now 20% more accurate and increased spin-up bonus from 10% to 20%. Just straight buffs for the Tomislav, what I considered an already good minigun. This thing might be overpowered now. It is going to be really solid after this update. So check out the Tomislav, it's gonna be worth using. Family Business now has plus 15% increased attack speed. Will people use it? We will see. I guess we'll see how much 15% actually is. But yeah, rapid fire shotgun, woohoo. Warrior's Spirit, my favorite heavy melee, now has plus 10 health on hit. Not kill, hit. So now you are the bear vampire with this weapon. That is awesome. I am genuinely excited to try this. And it is just making Lunch and Punch heavy even more viable. Because, I mean, if you have the Warrior Spirit on, you're using the Warrior Spirit, you're not using your minigun. So that's hilarious. I'm excited for that. Gonna make DeGroot Keep a lot of fun. Eviction Notice, similar to the Big Earner, you now get a 3-second speed boost on hit. So not only do you hit fast, but now you move fast, so you're like the physically fit speed heavy. It'll be interesting. I mean, it barely does any damage anyway, so we'll see if you being super evasive and sneaky actually does anything. I wish it was 3-second speed boost to your attack rate, because then you could just be like, your arms are a minigun. But sadly, no, it's just for your legs. But yeah, the Eviction Notice. Dalekos Bar now has 10-second cooldown on use. That's pretty big, but you now overheal up to 400 HP. So if you actually are patient enough to get to 400 HP, that's a big deal, but you need a lot of time to get to that point. So I think it's overall a nerf. You can throw it now as a small medkit for other players to use though, that is a bonus. But I still think it's an overall nerf for this weapon, which really doesn't make sense because not many people used it, but we'll see. And lunchbox items, meaning the sandwich, and I think the buffalo steak, you can now throw them. It says that you can throw them now, so noobs will understand. I'm sorry, my phone is just too excited for this update. I know, phone, me too. But yeah, it says what it does now. That's pretty cool. And then of course the panic attack is they made it so it might actually be worth using now. We will see. The base fire rate is increased from 15 to 30%, base reload speed from 33 to 50, and added increased switch speed by 50%. So it might actually be worth using. It fires a lot quicker and it's really inaccurate. So it's just perfect for panicking. Really quick, really inaccurate. So yeah. And alright, that about covers all the changes of the gunmetal update. Hopefully it'll be pretty cool. Alright, maybe it'll bring some life back into TF2. Maybe it's just the last hurrah, Twilight is upon us. I'm gonna put the box on. I'm gonna use some of the cool new weapons. I'm gonna do a funeral service for the Loch-n-Load. But it's gonna be pretty sweet. I recommend you check it out. I recommend you pay for the whole experience. It's only $6 for 3 months. I would say it's worth it. So, thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you're just as excited as I am. Hopefully you'll play some TF2 today, tomorrow, the next day, whenever, because it's a great game. So, yep, take care everybody. Bye-bye. Enjoy the update.